Hey everybody, this is Jake with Sparrows Real Estate. I'm here with Brandon Lomax. He works for Intercap Lending. We're going to sit down and talk a little bit about everything he does for home buyers throughout their process and why we like working with him so much. So, start off, Brandon, what is your role in the home buying process? What do you help people with?
Yeah, so my role as a loan officer is to help people obtain home ownership through getting pre-qualified and finding the best loan program for their needs. So I sit down with them, obtain all their information, and help them understand what options are available and how much down payment they need to bring in, what first-time home buyer programs there are, what if you've already owned a home, as they're selling a home, going into another home purchase, kind of how all that works out, and to help them get the timing just right.
You kind of take more of an advisory role as far as what is going to work best for them financially, what fits their needs, their time length, correct?
Right, yeah. So I like to think of myself as a mortgage consultant and to help people understand and go through really, all the financial options and help them understand what they're getting into and what the expectation is. So I'd like talk with people and just help them understand what's available.
And that's where it comes in and helps us, because we get a lot of questions as realtors like, how much is it going to cost? What loan programs are out there? And we can give you a general broad overview of what's available, but as far as specifics and what your credit's doing and all that type of stuff, that's why we have to have good team members like Brandon, because he's going to be able to give you specifics and get you really set up on the financial side of the plan, where me and Emily do more of the logistical side. When would be a good time for people to come talk to you in the process, timing wise? Like, should they reach out to us first? Should they reach out to you first? What do you think?
If you think that you're going to be looking at a home soon, I would say first thing is to get in touch with, the mortgage consultant and get pre-qualified. The reason doing that up front is so important is because it's, as Jake and Emily go show you homes, it's hard for them to know what to show you without knowing what your budget is and what you're actually interested in and what you qualify for. So by doing that up front, you know what to expect on monthly payment. You know what loan program is going to fit best for you. If it's conventional, FHA, USDA, VA. You understand kind of the price point of what you should be looking at as far as being affordable, and really just to eliminate any problems throughout the loan process, we gather all your documentation up front and make it so it's as smooth and easy as possible going forward, so there's no bumps in the road when you do find that home to put an offer in on.
Yeah, and that aligns exactly with what we tell people as well. Like, the first part of our pathway we put people on is obviously the first discussion with us, and the second piece is the loan. So if they haven't done anything with their loan qualifications or knowing where they're at financially, we can't move forward with you at all. And so that's why it's really important to get with your preferred loan officer as quick as possible. So how long does a general loan process take? So somebody calls you up and looking to purchase, and from that time to identifying a home and getting the loan closed, like, how long is the average time you work with somebody?
Yeah, so by the time you reach out to me and get pre-qualified, we can usually do that within a day. If you get all your documentation over to us, we can pull credit, have a pre-qualification done really quick. After that, you typically would start looking for a home. I don't know, Jake, how long can that take when someone starts looking for a home until they actually go under contract typically?
It really depends on how specific you are in your search areas. If you have a broader search range or search criteria, it can usually happen a little bit quicker because there's more options for you. If we're being really specific on what you're looking for, it can take a long time. And it also depends on the market you're in and how much inventory there is. So Obviously that can range a lot. We've worked with people for a matter of first call and they're under contract within a week to first call and it's a year later. So it really just depends. But I think once we get under contract, then it kind of flips back into your ballpark, and the timeline goes a little bit more on your guys' side from that point.
Yeah, so once you go under contract, once you find a home, offer gets accepted, comes back into us, typically anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks is the average range that we will close on a loan for. Really, it can be pretty quick, or it can be, within 30 days is pretty typical, just depending on, both sides of the transaction and what's gonna, be the best timing for everybody. But once you go under contract, it's a fairly quick process, and then your first payment doesn't become due until the following month, so you don't have to make a payment right away. You get to skip a month's payment as well.
Which is nice. So, gets you a little breathing room once you're done with it all.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. I think we close typically now in 30 days or less. When a few years ago, that was very fast.
Right.
But now it's kind of normal.
Yeah.
So.
And one of the things with Intercap Lending is we have one of the industry-leading close times as far as being really quick with that. And that leads into the pre-qualification process that we talked about, is gathering all your documentation up front so you're ready to go, that Jake and Emily have the pre-qualification letter already in hand when they go to make that offer. So it's a nice, easy, smooth process, and after that, everything goes really smooth, and there's less needed from you at that point.
Do you feel like with different loan programs, there's kind of typically some programs take a little bit longer to close than other programs?
Yeah, there can be. I mean, if you're looking at like doing a jumbo loan, with a loan amount, $800,000, $900,000, typically those can take a little bit longer to close. But for the most part, I would say for most loan programs that we offer, you're going to be within 30 days or less right now.
As far as going through that pre-qualification process and the escrow process of closing and everything, what are all the documents that people should expect to have on hand or be ready to provide you guys?
Yeah, that's a great question. So most of the documents that we need, generally like a photo ID, you need to have homeowners insurance picked out. We can also do quotes for those to help you get the best homeowners insurance out there. W-2s, generally they require 2 years. So the last 2 years of W-2s. If you're self-employed, sometimes they require 2 years of tax returns, personal and business. 30 days pay stubs, so depending on how you're paid, it could be 1 or 2, last 2 pay stubs. And then your last 2 months bank statements. We do have to verify assets, and sometimes reserves depending on the loan program. So yeah, we do want to make sure we source the down payment. So it's important to know, to have a 2-month history of income. A lot of people sometimes think, oh, we got cash sitting in a safe at the house, we can just pull that out, hurry and deposit it and use it. But you can't. It's hard to source that, even though we know and believe that it's coming from you. It's not documented on paper, so it's good to have money in your bank account that we can go back at least 60 days or 2 months to source your down payment if you plan on using those funds.
Yeah,
so
it's got to kind of be seasoned and know where it's coming from.
Yes.
As far as the documents go, some issue we've seen is people switching from W-2 jobs to self-employment jobs or 1099 jobs. So that would kind of be an area of advice, like if you're looking on purchasing a home, but also looking at switching employment career paths, like be careful of when you time that self-employment switch, because once that happens, it kind of messes up the qualification period with W-2s and all that stuff for future references, correct?
Right, yeah. So if you're self-employed or if you switch from an industry to another industry, sometimes that can delay the qualifying process of you needing to be on the job for 1 or 2 years. Whereas if you're a W-2 employee or salary, if you do switch jobs, it's a little easier, with like a 30 days on the job type of thing to get that, those pay stubs to verify that, your income is going to be steady. So, but yeah, definitely can have an impact. We always look for a 2-year living history and a 2-year employment history. We'd like to go back 2 years and try to verify and make sure that there's no major gaps or big gaps within that employment period, so we can use that income that you're making.
Yeah, it's everything that goes on behind the scenes and on the back end of like underwriters and processing and stuff like that. You want to talk a little bit on those aspects that go on behind the scenes with the loan that maybe a lot of people aren't necessarily aware of that happens?
Yeah. So there's actually quite a bit that we do that typically doesn't get seen or noticed by people. Once you go under contract on a home and the paperwork gets over to us, we get the purchase contract. I submit it to a processor. Intercap Lending, one of the nice things about working here is we have in-house processing and in-house underwriting, which means our underwriters are right here in our office within our company. So it makes for better communication and less stress. All the paperwork gets submitted over to a processor. She makes sure that we have all the documentation that we gathered up front, and then she will submit for an underwriting, a conditional approval. So she gets that into the underwriter, who then will review all the documentation and see if there's anything additional that we need to get it clear to close. The processor will typically order the appraisal once an inspection gets done, or once we have the go-ahead to do that. And then, we just get back to you with any remaining conditions, if there are any, to get a final clear to close. So pretty smooth process, but there is a lot of work going into that to make sure that it's a smooth and stress-free home buying process for you.
Yeah, I think that's good for people to understand, is that the clients are aware of what's on the surface, but there's so much moving in the background that's going on between the underwriters, the processors, all the documentation, and also as far as the realtors and the other parties on the other side of the property, as far as getting documentation from them and appraisals and all this type of stuff. So, and we try to, on both your side and our side, we try to mask as much of that stress as we can going through the process, because there's a lot of deadlines and timelines and that we all have to hit. So that's good for people to understand how much is going on in the background. So as far as costs of obtaining a loan, going into closing and what people have to pay out of pocket to get the loan closed, what does that typically look like?
The cost can vary depending on the type of loan that you do. It's different for conventional loans, FHA loans, USDA, VA, so they all have different fees associated with them. Generally, to expect on an average loan, you're probably somewhere right in the realm of like $3,000 to $4,000 in closing costs. Plus, you have your escrow set up, and a lot of people don't know what escrow is, but that's where you have your homeowner's insurance and your property tax that gets put into what they call the escrow account. So you're paying that monthly. So when those come due, that it's already part of your mortgage, so you don't have to pay a separate bill for that. So that is also collected as upfront when you close on your loan. So on top of the fees, and then obviously your down payment, which could vary. That's kind of typical of what people do. You can one thing that a lot of people ask about is what's our interest rate, right? So given the interest rate, sometimes you can see rates that are advertised a little bit better than what you're actually getting quoted or seeing, and that's because you're paying additional closing costs or discount points or origination fees to get that little bit better of a rate. So that can also increase your closing costs when purchasing a home. And so one of the jobs that we have as mortgage consultants is to help you, give you those options and, what's going to be best for you as far as, how long you plan on staying in the home, when you plan on selling, things like that, to help you make the best decision on, the best use of your money, so you're not wasting money and still getting the very best interest rate and paying the lowest closing costs as possible. Yeah,
I think that's good for people to understand, is that the cost associated is really variable, and it can be kind of tailored to what their needs are. I think so many people get set in a mindset of, I need X amount, or it's going to cost X amount and I don't have that right now, or I need it to this much money to be a good program or whatnot, or to get this specific interest rate, where there's a lot of different ways to structure things. And we found that when people will just take the time to get in touch with us and you to go over all the finances and look at their possibilities, we can usually find something that works for them a lot quicker than what they're thinking in their head, and which generally makes them more happy. But we can tailor that on the financial side a little bit, so which is good. So what are some things that make not only you yourself as a loan officer, different than all the many other loan officers out there, but Intercap as well as a company that people should know that differentiates you?
So again, like I mentioned before, it's really trying to be a consultant for you and helping you understand all your options to get you into the best financing position available. So I really try to take time to sit down and meet with people to help them really understand the process, because a lot of us know when you go obtain, at least when I obtained my first mortgage loan, it was, I didn't understand a lot of the language.
I didn't either. It was not the best experience my first time. So that's why we're so big on education now. It's just, I look back on the first time we bought a house and it was just like, what happened?
And so I really try to help people understand, and by educating them on, what it is they're actually doing, what the different loan products or programs are, and taking the time to keep everybody involved. Communication is really big to me. really just trying to help keep you guys up to date and really understand, the process as we go through it, so you're not wondering what's next in the process. And really just trying to help make it a stress-free home loan, right? That's part of the Intercap model is we don't want you to stress about, getting a loan. I know it can be stressful. It's
always going to be some stress.
Always going to be some stress.
Yeah.
But, if we can help make it, as much stress-free as possible, that's kind of what we want to do. And that's where Intercap comes in, and having a really good process through, getting through processing and underwriting and helping you get it clear to close and close on time. And just offering products for our real estate partners and for our, our borrowers to help them have the best loan experience possible.
We've really enjoyed working with Intercap in the fact that how responsible you guys are with everything and just on top of everything. There's some, people we've worked with that it just feels like nobody has an idea of what's going on, or it's just everything's by the seat of the pants, and it makes everything way more stressful. And there's always going to be little hiccups that come up in almost every transaction.
Sure.
And things that we've really respected that you guys have done is you go out and really try to solve that problem and don't just leave it on the borrower or the realtors that you work with. Like, you're an active participant in the problem solving and are really invested in your clients, which is great. And then, even anytime when there are mistakes, we've had Intercap and you take ownership of those mistakes of, hey, this slipped through the cracks or this and whatnot. And that's just, as far as the honesty point goes, that's huge for us as realtors, and I think reflects well for the borrowers as well. So
right.
Those are some things we've enjoyed, and just obviously the products and the underwriters being very personally invested in it as well is nice. Lots of great things about Intercap, and you guys really take care of your clients after the close too, and a lot of companies don't.
Yeah, and that's also important to us, right? We just don't look at people as a one-time transaction. We want to continue to help you throughout, your lifetime, and help your family and your friends. And we understand that that's really important to us. And on top of just providing a great service to you, we want to continue after. So we want to be available to answer any questions that you have. We have certain tools that we use to help keep you up to date on, what's going on with your mortgage. How can you use your equity that you have in your home? What options are available to you, as the months and the years go on. Yeah. So we really try to help keep you involved monthly on, what you can do with the benefits of home ownership, and that's important to us.
If there's one piece of advice you could give anybody watching, about the home buying journey or process, or just any real estate related advice, what would it be?
Yeah, I would say give us a call just to see what you're pre-qualified for if you're wanting to obtain home ownership. For a lot of people, they don't think they would qualify for a home, but with the products out there, the things that are available, loan programs, a lot of people have been surprised on what they can actually afford and buy, and help obtain equity going forward in the future that they can use to purchase, another home, and really just gain that real estate wealth that so many people have. So just give us a call and let us, like I said, be a consultant to you, and just ask any question. No question is a bad question. Even though it might not seem like a good question to you or a dumb question, there's no dumb questions to us. So ask what's available and what you could qualify for, and what you need to do to maybe get on the pathway to qualification. Mm-hmm. If you've had some credit hiccups in the past or don't really know where to start, that's what we're here to help you with. Let us help you obtain that home ownership by just getting started, even if it's just with a few questions.
Yeah.
So
no, I think that's great advice, because a lot of people want something, but they just don't think it's obtainable,
right,
because they don't know all the options that are out there.
Right.
And so, we have that on our side as well. It's just, people will say things and don't want to reach out and go through a little bit of a discussion to see what options are there, or a plan that can get in place to get them to where they want to be. And like we talked about earlier, a lot of times with what's available, it can be a lot quicker than what people are thinking.
Right.
People may think they're years out, but maybe they're only 6 months out or
right,
something like that. So, and I know Brandon, he's willing to work with people for the long haul, not just looking for that phone call and let's move now. So, and I know there's people in the industry that are like that don't want to, deal with long-term clients that aren't ready right now. But that's
right,
part of what we've built as far as, working with people as long-term planning and not forcing you into a situation now, but just getting you ready when it's right for you and when it works.
Right.
So.
Yeah, like Jake said, just informing you on what's available. There's so many loan programs for first-time home buyers. There's grants out there, money that you can obtain that doesn't have to be repaid. There's a lot of things that a lot of people just aren't aware of.
Yeah.
So you might be surprised on what you can do and what's how affordable homeownership can be.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. So it's been, and we can go into in future videos a lot deeper on some of those topics that you guys may have questions about. So that'll come in the future. But I think it's been a great introduction on kind of the whole loan process and what people can look forward to and whatnot. So once again, this is Brandon with Intercap Lending. So reach out to him. He's awesome, great communicator, and just really has his borrower's best interest in mind. So, which, not everybody can say that. So don't be afraid to reach out. We'll have, we'll get all the contact details. Reach out to me and Emily. We'll get you in touch with him. We do a lot of combined meetings with people at first, where all three of us will sit down with you and go through stuff and create a plan for you on both ends to work both ways. So it's fantastic. So any closing thoughts?
No, I just thank you for having me today.
Yeah.
And for going through this. And like I said, we're here to help you and provide the best experience we can for you in obtaining home ownership. So like I said, any questions regarding real estate, you can give Jake and Emily a call. They're really knowledgeable and can help you that way. And then on the financing end for obtaining a mortgage, give me a call. I'm happy to help you out and kind of walk through the process and let you know what's available for you.
So sounds great. Thanks everybody. Have a good one.
Thank you.